Hi, everyone. Welcome to Art and Talk. If you're new to us, Art and Talk is an online interviewing platform for artists to share their art, their creativity, and their passion. We embrace all the arts, the traditional arts, and the spiritual arts to bring you diverse and quality interviews to watch and be inspired by. Art and Talk is all about meeting artists and being inspired. Thank you so much for being with us today. I'm Leslie Sue, the host for Art and Talk. And you can stay connected with us on social media, on our YouTube channel, Facebook, and Twitter. Today, our guest is a musician. He's a folk blues singer, songwriter, one-man band. And we're going to find out all about his music and his musical journey. And he's also going to perform a couple of his original songs as well. So thank you again for watching today and being with us. And I'd like to welcome our guest for today, Jacob Green. Hi, Jacob.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you here. All right. So can you kind of share with us the whole folk and blues kind of influence and how you kind of got involved in all that musically?
Sure. I suppose being that I'm kind of just like obsessed with other artists, especially songwriters that it kind of started maybe with more like I guess originally more modern music, maybe from like the 90s, and then eventually that shifted into getting to like classic rock, 70s, 60s rock, and just eventually kind of kept going further back in history, so to speak. And I guess, the roots of like a lot of that music is either like blues for more of the rock stuff, and then folk for more of like the, I guess, kind of country or just rock stuff that isn't bluesy, I guess. But so I guess like over a long, I guess I'm still doing research, but over a long period of time, I'm just the type of person when I get into an artist or type of music, I like listen to it obsessively. So I almost like get sick of it quick or get play it out quickly. And then but then that just like gets me to be like, okay, well, who is this artist influenced by? And then it just keeps going further and further back. So I guess you could say, yeah, like, like artists like Jimi Hendrix, that kind of, he was like heavily influenced by like, BB King or Muddy Waters. And then they were heavily influenced by like Robert Johnson and Son House. So there's so many artists like that. You just like kind of keep going further back. So yeah.
Mhm. And then tell us about your attraction with the string instruments. I know you play a couple different ones. Take us a little bit to your origins, Jacob, of your whole musical journey.
Well, so I actually was in orchestra for school for 5 years, from 10 years old to 15 years old. I played violin. Now, I wasn't very good at it. It was one of those things like my best friend growing up was his parents were orchestra teachers. He's incredible at violin right now. He's a professor, violin teacher. So it was kind of that. And then it was one of those things like kind of, makes my mom happy sort of things. But like I personally, I was, 11, 12, 13, 14, I was really getting into modern music. And whether if it was kind of like stuff on the radio, like, I don't know, like, I guess it was like Green Day or like Offspring or more stuff than that. But then also, I was also like big into hip hop and stuff too. But I guess I already had this sense that I was like more passionate about, the modern music, and then also like writing my own music at a young age. And I kind of recognized the difference, like that I wasn't as passionate about playing, violin. And at the time I didn't really appreciate classical music, the same way that I do now. So I guess by the time I quit, I was 15, but I bought an electric guitar when I was 14. So I kind of just like, I already had that musical background in a classical sense, but once I applied it to what I actually wanted to do, I almost like immediately started writing songs and figuring out how to play them. Like, I mean, the first songs I was doing was like punk rock stuff. So kind of an easier style. I was 14 years old, So it just kind of evolved from there. But I guess I definitely recognized that I wanted to do it on my own terms. Like, I guess writing my own original stuff and just the influence of the modern stuff just made me want to kind of make my own modern stuff, so to speak. But I mean, now I look back and I appreciate that I had the orchestra training and I can appreciate classical music. But yeah, it was just kind of a start to, I guess, to like a path that came two different ways. Because if I would have stuck with that, I probably would have done something completely different with music. So
Right. So it's kind of like a stepping stone.
yeah, and it's, I mean, I guess at the time, maybe I almost like denied it, but it definitely gave me something, even if I didn't understand at the time, that musically, like I inherited or something, like whether if it was like just rhythm or like understanding music as a structure more. It just like when I went into like modern music or punk rock and rock music, it was like, I guess I just overall understood music more. But at the time, I didn't really realize I got it from, the orchestra.
Hmm. Right,
It
right.
wasn't it wasn't the coolest thing either in high school,
Right. Yeah. So I hear you. So it's kind of like it set the foundation, and it sounds like you really pull from a lot of different musical genres. You're like really open, and of course, you found your own, footing, your own place that you kind of feel, where you want to express yourself.
Yeah, and I think the diverseness I've always enjoyed, with music. I mean, when you're younger, you kind of like go through phases, I guess. You're really into this, then you're really into that. And then as I got older, you're just kind of into everything. But I think, yeah, just being open to more music probably made me more open as a person ultimately. And it's again, it just comes back to that almost like the obsession of like, oh, I got to find a new songwriter that I'm crazy about or a new artist, just like constantly searching. I'm still doing that today. So
Hmm. So that's where you draw your inspiration, and it sounds like you really dive into it and you really explore it and kind of get all the little nuances and all the aspects of it, and really kind of digest it all.
yeah, and I'll definitely say there was a period where I wasn't playing instruments as much, but I was listening like excessively and going to many, many shows, like from probably 16 to I don't know 22. I went to tons of shows and just listened to all sorts of music. So I was still playing a little, but
Mhm.
nothing very serious, I suppose. So
Yeah, that's interesting. I think as artists, sometimes we go through almost like an incubation stage where it's kind of like we're like being a sponge, we're really absorbing. It's kind of like that time is set aside, so to speak, to really just kind of absorb and kind of like learn, but not to, necessarily be so active. It's kind of like it each, kind of staged out for us. Do you kind of feel that way too?
yeah, absolutely. And I kind of realized again later in life that you can practice music without necessarily playing it. If you're constantly thinking in your head of like you're almost analyzing the song or even going to see a live band, you're like, well, what are they doing that's not obvious that's so awesome? Or you kind of just like pay attention to detail a little more. So in a way, you're still kind of like training in music. It's just you're not actually picking up an instrument. And I think like I guess I'll put that to a test because I won't play for a while, many different periods of my life. And then when I pick up an instrument again, you just kind of understand it more and you're playing better than the last time you picked it up, so to speak. So I think it's all like equally as important, I guess, or relative to the process. So yeah,
Yeah.
good to be a sponge. And when you're young, that's the best time to do it, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
my water.
All right. So let's go ahead when you're ready, Jacob. And let's go ahead and hear one of your songs if you want to share with us a little bit of what it's about. If you just want to jump right into it, it's up to you.
Yeah, I could give a little background. Grab my harmonica. All right, this is it's on my latest album, which is called No End in Sight. But it's I also just put out a single with this. This is the song for it. So the song is called Last Man Standing, and it's really just kind of about like being dedicated overall. And I guess it's kind of like expressing multiple things that can make you not want to be dedicated, like people taking advantage of you and things like this, but it's almost just a reoccurring theme. You gotta, whatever you do, whatever you're into, stay dedicated to it. So, all right, last man standing. Go right ahead, take my love for granted. Any chance you get, I'll take advantage. Like the deepest roots, leave my feet planted. Stand the test of time, be the last man standing. Yeah, the guilt you hold are gonna kill your soul. It punctures your heart, can't fill the holes. But the love you give will come back tenfold. You got to pay for it, so I am told. You can go right ahead, take my love for granted. Any chance you get, I'll take advantage. Like the deepest roots, leave my feet planted. In a test of time, you last man standing. Life's hardest things don't scar you deep. Some memories never leave. What matters most how you proceed. Be proud to stand your ground and still succeed. You can go right ahead, take my love for granted. Any chance you get, I'll take advantage. Like the deepest roots, leave my feet planted. In a test of time, be the last man standing. I'll be the last man standing on the ground. I'll be serenaded by sound. Their road of dedication, I'm bound. I'll be the last man standing on the ground. Right here, take my love for granted. Any chance you get, I'll take advantage. Like the deepest roots, leave my feet planted. Stand a test of time, be the last man standing. Be the last man standing on the ground. I'll be serenaded by sound. Road of dedication, I'm bound. I'll be the last man standing on the ground. Something like that.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you.
Yeah, so like you can really feel like the, soulful energy and the whole like, blues, folk rock, influences. I'm wondering, Jacob, can you share with us some of your creative process with your lyrics and your musical composition? How does all that play out for you?
Um, well, I try to just do it like I guess as natural as possible. And yeah, I mean, because I can have 9 times out of 10, like it'll be a random moment that lyrics kind of with a melody will come to me, sort of thing. And a lot of times it'll be like at least the chorus and maybe one verse. And just the process of how it comes so naturally, like I really won't, write that second verse until it comes again that way. And I've even put like some songs like on the shelf for like 8 years. Like they never, and or the music never came the same way, like kind of like how I hear it in my head, so to speak. But for the most part, a lot of them can come fairly quick like that, even if the second verse or the music comes a little later. I mean, yeah, usually it doesn't take 8 years or something, but sometimes, I could get something, yeah, it could take, 2 weeks or 2 months, but it's just basically, I guess I learned, when I was a lot younger, I think I used to write a lot more lyrics and I didn't focus on the melody as much. And maybe I just had like more angst. I had like more to get out or whatnot. But I just found like in that process, I was almost trying to like force more words to come out as opposed to like when I just let a melody with lyrics come to me naturally. The song just always seemed like it, came out that much better. So I guess I thought of that as very valuable. And that's I guess that in a sense that's how I try to write all my songs. I don't try to force any of the music or lyrics to come out. It's just kind of like a feeling or a moment that it all comes at once. And I just wrote this kind of comical song last Friday, and it's very simple and easy song, but it was just like how all these like modern appliances don't work as well as the old ones. So it wasn't even yeah, it was not a serious, it is serious because it's true, but it's a kind of a funny song. And it happened because like our rototiller, we do all this gardening stuff, our rototiller quit on us and it's like newer and etc. But that song was written in like I think 2 days or something. And then I just recorded a demo because I have the luxury of having a studio on hand. So I already have like a pretty solid demo of it. And that was like no plans to write it, no intention to even come up with a song about that. It just all kind of came out at once. And just about a month ago, we got a new washing machine. Of course, we looked for a good used washing machine, right? Like the old ones without all the digital stuff on them, because they just work better. They last longer. So, yeah, I guess if that answers the question, just as natural as possible. That's kind of, and when traveling a lot, it was almost like you're constantly chasing the song or chasing the inspiration for the song, so to speak. So
Mhm. So it sounds like your process is very organic. It's just I love how you said, Jacob, you just kind of like almost receive it. You said you allow it to come to you. I think that is so beautiful, and it almost comes almost in a complete package by and large.
yes, like it's at very least most time it's like 50% of the structure and basis of what the song is pretty much there. Just maybe there's a few things you got to polish up later. And again, even when it's added later, I don't try to rush that either. Sometimes you just get like so excited about a new song, you really want the rest of it to be finished because, oh man, this is so good. And sometimes if I just sit down and play it enough, something else will come out. But I guess yeah, and I've had people kind of like make suggestions like you should write about this, and I'm just like, well, that's just not really how I write. Like I don't want to be disrespectful or rude. It's almost like a kind of spiritual process or just a personal process to say the least. You know what I mean? And that's why a lot of it's based on just life experience, and that can be something very serious or something very funny or something tragic or anything. So I think I guess that's why I value it a lot, and it's kind of I guess what keeps my sanity when you're trying to like also be a successful artist. You're trying to like make a living from your art, but also stay true to the art that you create. It's, you got to find balance in between that. So
Mhm. I love that you stick to your guns. You really kind of you're true to your inner voice. You kind of seem very connected with it, and it's like you're like, okay, I'm gonna let that guide me, and I think that's great. I really admire that.
yeah, I feel like I value that, and I think maybe that's something the road definitely taught me. Years of traveling, just stay true. Stay true to your gut, stay true to your intuition.
Mhm.
And especially with music, especially with anything you do creatively, it
Mhm.
should all kind of come from the heart. So,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of learning more and more about these things later as I get older. I'm like, oh, that's what I was doing. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
so
Yeah, the whole thing is such a process. It's like a process within a process.
yes, and it's all up for us to, if you want to learn a lesson from it or deny your mistakes or what have you. But I embrace my mistakes, I suppose, especially uh when it comes to like bearing your soul for a song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes things I say in a song I can't even say in talking in words. I can't express the same way. So
Mhm. Right. So that's like your vehicle of communication and kind of processing things that you know are experiencing, because you said you like to write about life experiences, things that are going on that you've maybe gone through, or something in your environment.
absolutely, yeah. I think, and I guess that's kind of the artist I love too. So maybe I recognize that at a young age too, that I was drawn more to. I mean, I feel like I can hear when somebody wrote the song or not, or if it's, I mean, sometimes some songs are just, you can tell they're kind of just written for, I don't know, to sell or whatever you want to call them. But I feel like you can almost feel it more, hear it more when it's like it's coming from the artist themselves.
Mhm.
It's like they had to write it. But I think that's Johnny Cash always said something like that. But
Yeah, I
had to
love
get it
that.
out of them.
Yeah. Let's just touch a little bit upon your performing. I know prior to the pandemic, as you kind of touched upon, you were touring around a lot. Share with us some of how that played out. What was that experience like for you?
Well, so I was I was basically, I guess it's hard to say. Well, it's like I was almost consistently or trying to travel or tour for almost like 10 years of my life, basically, or trying to do something with music, basically like 2007 to 2017. And it slowly built up over the years. First, it was with bands. And when my band in like 2012, kind of the most successful one, sort of fell apart, we kind of on hiatus or whatever. But that's when I just started doing the one man band. It was 2013, and that's when I really, since 2013, basically until the pandemic, I was doing like 130 to 150 shows a year. And 2013 to 17, that's when I was like touring around the country more. And I officially moved to Vermont. My daughter was born at the end of 2017. So that's when I officially moved here. And I still kind of kept the whatever you want to call it, the same structure of the road, and I tried to keep my schedule busy because I had worked so hard, just to get to that point where you can make a living off playing that many live shows in a year. But I haven't really like toured, like as hard as I used to since like basically the end of 2017. But even before the pandemic, I was doing like mini tours, and even in Vermont, I'll do like a big radius of like New England, like upstate New York, Maine, Massachusetts and stuff, New Hampshire. So um yeah, I guess yeah, that was like it was basically my life for quite a while. And I guess you could say yes, I've successfully had it as a job since 2013, which is no coincidence, but that's when I started the one man band. You can make more off the shows by yourself, etc. And it was just like I was already kind of like ready and had some experience to take it to the next level, like especially touring and how to plan it and stuff. And I think that first year I played 34 states in 2013 alone. So yeah, that's, I guess that's my experience. And then yeah, since the pandemic hit, I don't know, everything just flipped to a new perspective. And I kind of, at first it kind of threw me off, but in a lot of ways it's given me, it's kind of a blessing in disguise, so to speak. So
Yeah. I'm wondering, Jacob, when so you started your musical journey pretty young and writing and playing with the guitar and whatnot. So did you just kind of know intuitively that you wanted to, perform in front of people, that you wanted to be on the stage? How did that whole thing evolve? And can you share with us some of your first experiences playing live in front of an audience? What was that like?
okay, yeah, we can go to the first. So I had a punk band. So like I said, it was, everything has always happened really quickly. Like when I basically got a new instrument or learned a new. So uh, right before I was a freshman, I turned 14 years old. I bought an electric guitar, and I was like, what I thought was punk music is actually pop punk music or whatever. But I basically learned enough on guitar like within a month to play like power chords, which gave me able to write songs. And yeah, between like August until New Year's Eve of 1999, we had a New Year's Eve show. It was a basement party show, and it within that time we recorded like a 6-7 song demo. Me, I played electric guitar, wrote the songs. We had a bass player and drummer, and which in a sense was pretty fast because I literally just got the guitar. But like I said, I think I was already writing lyrics, obviously. So I was so into just writing songs. Like I was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do with it. And as far as like, I don't ever feel like I really had, much stage fright, because it just like, I guess I just felt like I had to get the songs out of me, even though it doesn't mean I always, performed the best when I was that young. But the funny thing was, our drummer, who we recorded this 6-song little thing at his place in his basement, he quit on us right before our first show on New Year's Eve. So we literally had another drummer who I play with to this day, from another high school punk band, and he like learned our set like 15 minutes before. And I think that was almost like a valuable lesson of just like, figuring it out on the spot. Even what it wasn't like some great show, and we didn't like play many shows after that. The band didn't last that long, but still, it was like, we went there to do this thing, even though, 1/3 of our band left us. And then we still, figured it out. And but yeah, that's probably one of my earliest shows. And then later, let's see, this is like 2006. I guess I was 21 then. I'll give away my age a little. I was at a factory job that I got through a friend. I was living in my first apartment, outside of my hometown. I think I lived there 19 to 21 years old or something. But yeah, he got me this factory job. I was there for a year and a half, and I realized very quickly that I did not want to, work a factory job and make a living that way. And it was my highest paying job at this point, at that point. And so even that didn't, influence me to want to keep it. So at the end of 2006, I was like basically like moved out of that apartment. I was flat broke, moved back in with my parents, really kind of felt like a loser. I was around my hometown for like another year or two, but that whole time, again, it was like a transition. And that's the first time I got an acoustic guitar, and then that's when I started diving deeper into folk and actually like bluegrass stuff then, and a lot of blues stuff. But yeah, it was just another period where I guess I had to kind of find myself through the music. And so yeah, that was 2006. I get by 2008, I had basically a band in my hometown, and we started, doing fairly well, booking shows. And making money. And it was just one of those things that looking back that I guess once I just got a little taste of, oh, you can like, if you work hard enough, you can make some decent money off playing these shows. And simultaneously you're young and like, I don't care about, I didn't care about being like super well off, or I didn't mind living frugal, so to speak. You know what I mean? So, and it just went hand in hand. It was like a fun lifestyle. So I was like, so I guess somewhere right around that period, I was probably 23. That's actually I went on this little journey by myself. I traveled to Colorado, just me and my dog. We were like living out of my Jeep for about 5 6 months and living with random people and stuff too. But I just realized like whatever I got to do to try to, make this my living, it was worth it. Just because just the, excuse me, a small experience of performing live and having a, mild local success and making a little money, it just kind of motivated me to want to do it that much more. And so, yeah, you could kind of say from that period till about 2012 or 13, I was kind of like in between working all these random jobs, not keeping jobs long, and then just playing with mainly two different bands. One is from my hometown, one is from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And yeah, like I said, the one from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, we started just towards the end, the last year, 2012, we started actually doing a couple tours. And we were going back and forth from Wisconsin to Colorado a lot and playing everywhere in between. And so, but that's another thing too. When you play with a lot of band members, musicians, you either figure out fast or over time who's the most serious, and I got nothing but love for everyone I played with. But in hindsight, a lot of people, they kind of wanted it as a weekend hobby sort of thing. Or they always kind of knew they'd be working a regular job, I guess. So I don't know if I answered all your questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love everything that you're sharing, and I love your dedication and your focus. Before we get to another song, Jacob, if we can just kind of touch upon your vocal style and how that has evolved.
Okay, yeah. Well, I honestly I don't consider myself the best singer, but I definitely can recognize how much I've improved over the years. And um, I guess yeah, my vocal style, I've really just always loved very soulful singers, and that can be, you know, Otis Redding or Hank Williams. You know what I mean? Like I think they both have this very completely different styles, but just a very soulful, resonating thing. And yeah, because that's what I feel like when I first started, I was really into Hank Williams Sr. and like Johnny Cash, and I was almost trying to sing like Hank Williams Sr. And then it was almost like Robert Johnson, but I wasn't good at it. I definitely was not good at it. But I guess yeah, and then over time, I think it just comes back to the not forcing things, similar to writing a song. Like when you focus on the melody more and you let the melody and music kind of come to you, it kind of shapes itself. And it's kind of weird. It's like, again, I had this background in orchestra, and years later, I like retaught myself all these scales by ear. But I was like, I bet you I probably was able to reteach myself a little easier because I had that in the past, and my ear just recognized it a little better. So I think once I really started doing that, that probably almost helped my vocals out a lot more, because then I could pick out the notes that I was trying to sing, and well, and the thing is, I never have stopped. I've always been recording. I've always had some type of home studio. I wouldn't have considered it professional to maybe 3 4 years ago, but I've always been recording every band I ever played with, all my solo stuff. So I can literally, and people who used to listen to it back then, like I can listen and see the progress and how bad it used to sound. And I used to kind of be oblivious to it because again, I was so obsessed with like just getting the song out. I almost was like not as concerned as being in tune, which is just a hard lesson to learn, I suppose. But even to this day, I think it's almost like, sure, I want you to be as tune as possible, but I think it's important to like kind of capture the soul of the song, or even like the live essence, like in the studio somehow, like as much as you can capture almost that what you kind of get live somehow in the song. But yeah, I guess that's my vocal style. I still feel like I'm still like there's a voice in my head I'm still trying to get to. I'm getting closer and closer. And now I feel like I just started singing more of the lower tone in some of my newer stuff. And I feel like I'm like way better at lower. And I always sang like mid to high for all these years. But you know you're in Florida, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know the band Mofro? They're from there. JJ Gray.
I'm not familiar with them.
They're from like the Jacksonville area. But I saw them in like 2005, and I just love that guy's voice. Like that guy just, I've been listening to them ever since, and I feel like I'm almost a wannabe that guy or something. I don't know. There's too many people I listen to, but yeah, so.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love your different influences and how you pull from them, and then you kind of situate it within yourself to let it kind of just be like a Jacob Green, original, but kind of like honoring all these different areas. And your process and journey that you've been sharing with us is so rich, and I love how you're sharing also what you've learned from it, and kind of just taking us along with you. Let's go ahead, if it works for you, and let's hear another one of your songs.
I could tune this slightly different here. Just a couple strings. I suppose this song is kind of relative to what I'm talking about. Oh, another thing I like to do, I love doing multiple different versions of songs. There's maybe like one main version makes the album, but I love just doing this. So these are both like very different than what you'll hear on the album. But this song's called "What Is Pure." This is actually I had the right one. This is on the latest single. It didn't make my latest album, but it is on my latest single, "The Last Man Standing." So it's like, yeah, I guess saying remain true to what is pure to you, and you'll reap the rewards of it. Oh, 1 second here. So here it goes. Well, the longer it says, the stronger it gets. It's what they say for a cure. Well, the longer you wait to get rid of your pain, you drift further away. What is pure? I give myself time to walk down that line. I let the feeling sink deep. I do my best so that problem's addressed and history doesn't repeat. Well, the longer it sets, the stronger it gets. That's what they said for a cure. Well, the longer you wait, get rid of your pain, drift further away. What is pure? We all got a chance own choice. Argue what we deserve. You won't take a stand or use your own voice. Tell me how you think you're gonna be heard. The longer it sits, the stronger it gets. Goodness ain't for a cure. But the longer you wait, get rid of your pain. Drift further away. What is your the longer you wait to get rid of your pain, drift further away. What is your
Yay. That was great. Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you.
You know, and I love that title, what is pure? That takes a lot of real soul searching. And I'm wondering, do you feel like there's an overall message in your music, and what is that?
I guess, I was trying to think about this before. I guess it's kind of the process in what we're kind of talking about, the process I go through to write it. I hope that's almost like expressed through the song, that inspires people to do their own creative things in that style, I guess, and which kind of just, follow what you're passionate about, stay true to yourself. And, it almost sometimes it feels like it's hard to it's hard to think like what's an original thought. Sometimes how much we're influenced by our just society, or just the things that our surroundings, so to speak. So I guess staying true to you, or what's within you, what comes from within you. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And I also have a lot of stuff that's I have like a lot of environmentally conscious stuff. So again, I'm a pretty big time gardener, almost a full-time farmer at this point. And so a lot of stuff with paying respects to nature. And I also have a lot of songs about racial injustice, or just injustice in general. So I guess all of this is kind of relative to, again, what we're already kind of talking about, remaining true to yourself. And I don't know if I could it's hard, again, it's hard to put into words when speaking.
I think you express that beautifully, and those are such great messages. I'd like to pull up your recent album, and let's take a look at that. It's called No End in Sight.
Yep.
All right, give me just a moment. I'm going to pull that up.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so there's a little messages behind on the album cover, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But so the guy, I have a comic book too. I made just about 6 months ago. I did a comic book with this guy. He lives in Portugal actually, but he did all the artwork on here. And the comic books for a song, it's about racial injustice. And so I basically have this comic book that I sell an EP with, but he did the artwork, or I kind of had some leftover artwork from the comic book that I included on this album cover. Excuse me. And basically, if you look at everything on the back, or on the back of my shoulder, it's almost like negative things in a sense. But then you also have the on the right on my shoulder, there's the what is it, like the crow or the vulture on the it's a crossroad, a railroad crossing road, but that's kind of supposed to symbolize like a crossroads. And then so if you look at everything in front of me, like looking forward, it's more like positive things. So that's actually breaking a chain. It says hate on it. So that's like the song or the song or comic book I was talking about, break the chains of hate. This is kind of, the other one's someone reaching out to another helping hand. Obviously the heart, that's kind of just like an overall love symbol. And then even me myself, that's kind of like choosing music over this guy with the whip behind me, which is kind of, I guess, choosing any sort of I don't know, lifestyle like that, so to speak. So, and I guess it's funny because a lot of the interviews or stuff I've done during the pandemic, it's almost people jump to the conclusion that's like a negative title, because like, oh, like no end in sight, like when will the pandemic end or something. But it's actually kind of saying like the song No End in Sight, it's the last song on the album. It's saying like embrace like your creativity and positivity can be endless. It's saying like we can be limitless in what we choose. And that's also kind of what you see on the album cover. Like you have a choice to leave all those negative things behind you, and you have a choice to look forward to more positive things. But it's almost just funny. Like it's like a reoccurring thing of, I guess people expect you to be, depressed during the lockdown and whatnot, which I understand why people would be, but I'm almost trying to do the opposite, put out positive things. So
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, and Jacob, I love the forethought that you put into it as you've been elaborating on like the symbolism, with the no end in sight with your recent album cover, and it almost feels like a letting go. As you were saying, all these I guess like perceived negative things are like kind of like in the past, letting go, and what's in front of you are things of the heart, your passions, your interests, your creativity, sharing your message. And that's kind of like the feel that I'm getting.
yes, and then the actual CD with the cover, it features just more of that cool art and whatnot. And yeah, again, this came together really kind of organically. I didn't even really have intentions to, you know, well, I guess put out an album this year, but being that I had the whole year off, I was recording. I practically recorded enough for like 3 or 4 albums. So this is kind of like condensing or compiling certain songs for this album. And um yeah, just well, I guess the music video I showed you, that song, it's the second one on this album. And yeah, that song just came all out of me like as soon as the pandemic hit. I think that's true to the time era for sure.
Right, right, yeah. And also the title, I love how you share the insight with what it's about. And it just goes to show that, we can perceive things on, so many different levels of interpretation, and we don't even know if we're actually even perceiving it correctly. And as you were elaborating, it's really, in no end in sight, as you're saying, it's like this unlimited potential that we have for, our creativity, our uniqueness, our artistic expression, or whatever it is that kind of turn someone on in that respect. So that I just love everything that you shared.
Well, and I appreciate you asking that because yeah, even again, people will jump to a conclusion on the cover without even asking. So
Right.
that's much appreciated because yeah, I was definitely almost like thrown off myself. Like, no, I'm trying to put out something positive. No, it's not.
Right, right. Jacob,
So, but
you know what? Let's go ahead and let's look at your music video.
okay.
Share with us what that's about, and then we'll go ahead and show that.
Okay, so this is one of the many newer music videos I'm putting out. Yeah, this one's called Lost Your Way. And man, I believe I had the first 2 lines written maybe right before my daughter was born, 2017-ish. But when the pandemic hit, everything else is written. Like literally probably the end of March, 2020. And it's really a song all about reflecting of all these years of traveling and kind of like saying, like, what do I have to show for it? And I guess at the end of the day, it's the songs, the music is what I have to show for it. And then I don't really believe in coincidences, but I came across, like the hero's journey story. if you're familiar with that, it's very similar to the hero's journey, because even though it's saying lost your way, it's not a negative thing. It's somehow sometimes you got to get lost in order to be found, and it's all about kind of this big circle of starting at one place and getting back to where you belong. And my father, he's been making home videos of us since we were, I don't know, practically born. So I have pretty much like in the music video, it's I'm probably like 3 years old to probably 12 years old. And that's probably like the first half. You see all these home video footage coming in and out. And then the second half is like a video of my family with my daughter, a couple with my nieces. And that's probably was filmed, in the last 4 or 5 years, kind of just randomly filmed stuff from home footage. So I think it all really came together cool, because the home footage kind of shows you this time lapse, or showing you, I did in chronological order too. So it goes younger to older. And I guess that's kind of what the song's all about too. And yeah, the hero's journey. If you're not familiar, check that out.
Yeah, awesome. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. Give me a second, and I'll
Awesome.
put that up.
Run out of love and songs to play. Did you lose yourself along the way? Was it worth the trouble or the risk you take? Do you ever think you learn from your mistakes? I'm just sitting here wondering how long it takes to get back when you lost your way. Just how long did you search for the secrets of the universe? Then you ask yourself, well, what it's all worth to try to get inspired while you're on the earth. And you wind up feeling alone and hurt, trying to find a way to your rebirth. Run out of love and songs to play. Did you lose yourself along the way? Was it worth the trouble or the risk you take? Ever think you learned from your mistakes? Sitting here wondering how long it takes to come back when you lost your way. Try so hard to find common ground, then you feel lost when love can't be found. So how long did it take till you compromise? Till you no longer feel you're on the right? Stop believing your own life, and your passion becomes your demise. Run out of love and songs to play. Did you lose yourself along the way? Was it worth the trouble or the risk you take? Do you ever think you learned from your
you so much.
Thank you. I
Yeah,
haven't watched that in a while.
and I love your honest, reflections and your humbleness and your humility. That comes across, so beautifully. So I thank you for that.
Thank
Um,
you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Jacob, we're going to need to go ahead and wrap the show up. So we'd like to offer you the closing comments, however you'd like to kind of wrap things up and kind of bring us full circle with your musical journey, and also let us know how we can stay connected with you.
Yeah, I just want to say, I guess, thanks everybody for tuning in and whatnot. You can find everything at jacobgreenmusic.com, and it's Jacob Green, just like the color, no E at the end. And currently I'm trying to get, maybe similar to you, I'm trying to get that much my YouTube subscribers up, because I'm actually to a point where I can possibly make some income off my video views and whatnot, which has been quite a process to get to. So, which that's another part of this journey, is trying to survive now and figure out what to do as a result. Even though I'm starting to play some shows here and there, it's just nowhere near as much as full time as it used to be. So yeah, check out my YouTube channel. It's Jacob Green Music Official. Find that. And music videos just like that last one we saw. I have a ton of new music videos, and that's another thing too. I've just been concentrating a lot of more of original content and putting out videos, and I guess in a consistency sort of form. So yeah, what else can I say? I appreciate everybody for tuning in, appreciate the support, and I hope my music resonates with you, and I hope you can be inspired like I've been inspired by so many other artists. And I appreciate you having me. It was a great talk. It went by fairly quickly, actually.
Yeah, it sure did. Well, thank you so much, Jacob, for being our guest musician, singer, songwriter, sharing your musical journey with us, and performing a couple of your songs and helping us get to know you.
Yes, I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for those kind words, Jacob. Well, we wish you much success. Stay connected with us, as things, kind of start to open up and whatnot. We definitely want to know how things are going for you.
Definitely.
Much success with this album that we looked at. I know it's already been out. I hope it continues to do well, and your future musical endeavors. Best of luck, best of success for you.
Thank you so much. Can I ask quickly, how did you come across me?
Oh,
Or hear about me?
yeah. Actually, we're in a couple of I don't know if it's a couple, but it's definitely a shared music group on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's how I found you. Yeah, and so delighted
Awesome.
to have you on, and that we could share out your music and your musical journey, and also your great message. I love all the things that you touched upon.
Thank you so much. Where are you in Florida?
We're in South Florida, in Palm Beach County.
Okay. Both my brothers live in Fort Lauderdale, so I'm kind of familiar. So,
Yeah.
but
All right.
just
Well,
want to mention that.
all right. Yeah. If you come this way, definitely let me know.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah, some type of mini tour or something, but bring
Yeah.
the whole family down.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching Art and Talk. We appreciate the time you take to watch our art videos, and we hope you draw inspiration from them. And we'll talk soon on the next Art and Talk. Until then, be well and be blessed.